Serafina Sterling, a name whispered in high society circles, a billionaire's daughter known for her rebellious spirit and avant-garde fashion. But behind the designer clothes and lavish parties, Sera feels trapped, suffocated by her parents' expectations. Her mother, Vivian, a force to be reckoned with, believes Sera needs discipline, a way to tame her wild spirit. That's where Liam comes in. Liam, a down-to-earth yoga instructor with a passion for helping others find inner peace. He's hired to give Sera private sessions at her family's mansion, never imagining the connection they would forge. Get ready for secret sessions, family drama, a runaway wedding, and a journey of self-discovery that will challenge everything you thought you knew about love and success. But will their love be enough to overcome the disapproval of Sera's powerful parents and the pressures of their elite world? Will Liam's ambition be enough to prove himself worthy in their eyes? Before we begin, let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from today. And if you're ready to embark on this journey of love and defiance, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next story. Trust me, you won't want to miss the twists and turns that lie ahead. Let's get started! The morning sun streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Serafina Sterling's bedroom, illuminating a space that most people could only dream of. A sprawling suite adorned with designer furniture, priceless artwork, and a walk-in closet the size of a small apartment. But for Sera, it felt like a gilded cage. Sera, a young woman in her early 20s, lay sprawled across her silk sheets, a look of utter boredom etched on her face. Her dark hair was tousled, her eyes, a striking shade of emerald green, were fixed on the ceiling. She was dressed in an oversized vintage band t-shirt and ripped jeans, a stark contrast to the opulent surroundings. "Another day, another dollar," she muttered sarcastically, reaching for her phone on the nightstand. She scrolled through her Instagram feed, a curated collection of glamorous parties, exotic vacations, and perfectly posed selfies. It was the life everyone envied, but it felt hollow to Sera. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her mother, Vivian. "Yoga session at 10 a.m. sharp. Don't be late. And wear something appropriate." Sera groaned. Appropriate, in Vivian's world, meant something tight, expensive, and utterly uncomfortable. Sera hated yoga, or at least, she thought she did. It was just another way for her mother to control her, to mold her into the perfect socialite. Vivian Sterling was a force to be reckoned with. A self-made billionaire, she was the epitome of elegance and sophistication. She ran her business empire with an iron fist, and expected nothing less than perfection from her daughter. Her style was bold and impeccable, always dressed in the latest designer clothes, her hair perfectly coiffed, and her makeup flawless. She was a vision of power and grace, but beneath the surface lay a relentless ambition and a deep-seated need for control. Downstairs, in the Sterling mansion's impeccably designed kitchen, Vivian was already preparing for the day. She was dressed in a tailored power suit, her diamond earrings sparkling in the morning light. She oversaw the staff with a sharp eye, ensuring every detail was perfect. As Serafina confirmed her yoga appointment, she asked her personal assistant, Emily. "Yes, Mrs. Sterling," Emily replied nervously. But she didn't sound too thrilled. Vivian sighed. Serafina needs structure. She needs to learn discipline. She's wasting her potential. But Vivian had big plans for Sera. She wanted her to take over the family business, to marry into a powerful family, to continue the Sterling legacy. But Sera had other ideas. She wanted to be an artist, to travel the world, to live life on her own terms. Back in her room, Sera reluctantly changed into a pair of yoga pants and a sports bra. She knew better than to defy Vivian completely. She headed downstairs, a scowl on her face. As she walked through the mansion's grand foyer, she couldn't help but feel a sense of resentment. This wasn't her life. This wasn't who she wanted to be. But how could she escape the gilded cage her mother had built around her? Sera reluctantly entered the mansion's sun-drenched yoga studio, a space that felt more like a sterile showroom than a place of relaxation. The room was filled with state-of-the-art equipment, pristine white mats, and a panoramic view of the Sterling estate's perfectly manicured gardens. Standing in the center of the room was Liam, her new yoga instructor. He was a man in his late 20s, with a warm smile, kind eyes, and a toned physique that spoke of dedication and discipline. He was dressed in simple, comfortable clothing, a stark contrast to the opulence of the surroundings. Sera couldn't help but roll her eyes. "So, you're the guy my mother hired to fix me," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. Liam chuckled softly. "I wouldn't say fix. I'm here to help you find your inner peace, if you're willing to let me." Sera scoffed. "Inner peace? In this house? Good luck with that." Liam remained unfazed by her cynicism. He had dealt with difficult clients before. He knew that beneath Sera's tough exterior lay a vulnerable soul. Why don't we start with some basic stretches?" he suggested, gesturing towards a mat. "Just relax, breathe, and let go of any expectations." Sera reluctantly followed his instructions, but her mind was racing. She couldn't focus on her breathing, couldn't quiet the constant chatter in her head. She was too busy thinking about her mother, her future, and the suffocating weight of her responsibilities. Liam noticed her struggle. "It's okay to feel uncomfortable," he said gently. "Yoga is about more than just physical poses. It's about connecting with your body, your mind, and your spirit." He guided her through a series of gentle stretches, his voice calm and reassuring. He encouraged her to focus on her breath, to let go of her thoughts, to simply be present in the moment. Slowly, Sera began to relax. She started to feel a sense of calm she hadn't experienced in a long time. The tension in her shoulders eased, her breathing deepened, and her mind quieted. As the session progressed, Liam shared his own story. He talked about his struggles, his dreams, and his passion for yoga. He had grown up in a small town, far from the world of wealth and privilege. He had worked hard to achieve his goals, overcoming obstacles and setbacks along the way. Sera was surprised to find herself listening intently. She had never met anyone like Liam before. He was genuine, authentic, and completely unpretentious. He didn't seem impressed by her wealth or intimidated by her mother. He treated her like a normal person, someone with feelings and dreams of her own. By the end of the session, Sera felt a sense of lightness she hadn't expected. Her body was relaxed, her mind was clear, and her spirit was lifted. "That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be," she admitted, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Liam smiled back. "See, maybe there's hope for you yet." As Sera left the yoga studio, she couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, Liam could help her find a way to break free from her gilded cage. The next few yoga sessions followed a similar pattern. Sera would arrive with a cynical attitude, ready to dismiss the whole thing as a waste of time. But Liam's patience, gentle guidance, and genuine interest in her well-being slowly chipped away at her defenses. They moved beyond the basic poses, exploring more challenging sequences that required focus, strength, and balance. Liam encouraged Sera to push herself, but also to listen to her body and respect her limits. But it wasn't just the physical aspect of yoga that was changing Sera. It was the conversations they had before and after each session. Liam listened patiently as Sera vented about her mother's expectations, her stifling social life, and her lack of control over her own future. "She wants me to be someone I'm not," Sera confessed one day, her voice filled with frustration. "She wants me to take over the family business, marry some boring guy from a wealthy family, and live the life she's always envisioned for me. But that's not what I want." But Liam nodded understandingly. "What do you want, Sera?" Sera hesitated. "I don't know," she admitted. "I used to want to be an artist, but my mother said it was a waste of time. She said I needed to be practical, to focus on something that would make me money." "But what makes you happy?" Liam asked gently. "What makes you feel alive?" Sera thought for a moment. "Creating things," she said softly. "Painting, drawing, designing. Anything that allows me to express myself." Liam smiled. "Then maybe you should explore that," he said. "Maybe you should find a way to incorporate your passion into your life, even if it's just a hobby." He encouraged her to pursue her artistic interests, to take classes, to visit museums, to connect with other artists. He even offered to help her set up a small studio in her room. As Sera spent more time with Liam, she began to see him as more than just her yoga instructor. He was a confidant, a friend, and someone who genuinely cared about her happiness. She found herself looking forward to their sessions, not just for the physical benefits, but for the opportunity to talk to him, to share her thoughts and feelings without judgment. Liam, in turn, was drawn to Sera's intelligence, her wit, and her hidden vulnerability. He saw beneath her rebellious exterior and recognized the kind, compassionate person she truly was. He admired her strength, her determination, and her willingness to challenge the expectations of her privileged world. Their connection deepened with each passing day, blurring the lines between student and teacher, friend and something more. They were drawn to each other, not by wealth or status, but by a shared understanding and a mutual respect. But their growing closeness was not going unnoticed. Vivian, ever watchful, began to suspect that something was brewing between her daughter and the yoga instructor, and she was not happy about it. Vivian Sterling was a woman who prided herself on her intuition. She had built her empire by trusting her gut, and her gut was now telling her that something was amiss between her daughter and the yoga instructor. She had noticed the subtle changes in Sera's behavior. She was less rebellious, more engaged, and seemed genuinely happier. She was also spending more time in the yoga studio, often lingering long after her sessions were supposed to be over. Vivian decided to investigate. She started by subtly questioning Sera about her sessions with Liam. "Are you finding the yoga helpful, darling?" she asked casually one evening at dinner. Sera hesitated. "Yeah, it's okay," she replied, trying to sound nonchalant. "It's helping me relax." Vivian raised an eyebrow. "Relax? I thought you hated yoga." "I'm learning to appreciate it," Sera said, avoiding her mother's gaze. Vivian pressed further. "And what do you think of Liam? Is he a good instructor?" Sera blushed slightly. "He's fine," she said. "He knows what he's doing." Vivian sensed that Sera was hiding something. She decided to take matters into her own hands. The next morning, while Sera was still asleep, Vivian went to the yoga studio. She found Liam cleaning the mats, preparing for the day's sessions. "Mr. Liam, is it?" Vivian said, her voice cold and authoritative. Liam turned around startled. "Yes, Mrs. Sterling," he said politely. "Is there something I can help you with?" "I just wanted to have a little chat about my daughter," Vivian said, her eyes narrowing. Liam tensed up. He knew this conversation wasn't going to be pleasant. "I've noticed that you and Sera have become quite close," Vivian continued. "I want to make it clear that I do not approve of any inappropriate relationships between my daughter and the staff." Liam's jaw tightened. "Mrs. Sterling, I assure you that our relationship is strictly professional," he said, his voice firm. "I am simply her yoga instructor." Vivian scoffed. "Don't insult my intelligence, Mr. Liam. I know what I see. You may think you can charm my daughter with your down-to-earth ways, but you are not her equal. She is destined for greater things than a relationship with a yoga instructor." Liam's anger flared. "With all due respect, Mrs. Sterling, Sera is her own person. She is capable of making her own decisions about who she wants to be with." Vivian's eyes flashed. "You are overstepping your bounds, Mr. Liam. I suggest you remember your place. I hired you to teach my daughter yoga, not to fill her head with romantic notions. If I hear of you pursuing this any further, I will not hesitate to terminate your contract and ruin your reputation." Liam stood his ground. "I would never do anything to hurt Sera," he said. "But I also won't apologize for being her friend." Vivian glared at him. "Consider yourself warned, Mr. Liam. I am watching you." With that, she turned and stormed out of the yoga studio, leaving Liam shaken and worried. He knew that Vivian was a powerful woman, and he feared what she might do to keep him and Sera apart. Liam was deeply troubled by his conversation with Vivian. He knew that she was capable of making his life, and Sera's, very difficult. He considered quitting, believing it would be the best way to protect Sera from her mother's wrath. But he also knew that Sera needed him. He had become her confidant, her friend, and someone she could rely on in a world where she felt constantly controlled. He couldn't just abandon her. He decided to talk to Sera about what had happened. He found her in her art studio, painting a vibrant canvas filled with swirling colors and abstract shapes. "Hey," he said softly, knocking on the door. Sera looked up, her face lighting up when she saw him. "Hey," she said. "What's up?" Liam hesitated. "I need to talk to you about something," he said. He told her about his conversation with Vivian, about her threats and her disapproval. Sera listened intently, her expression growing increasingly angry. She did what? She exclaimed, her voice rising. She has no right to talk to you like that. She's just trying to protect you, Liam said gently. She thinks I'm not good enough for you. That's ridiculous, Sera said. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. I don't care what she thinks. She grabbed his hand, her eyes filled with determination. I'm not going to let her control me anymore, she said. I'm not going to let her dictate who I can and can't be with. Liam smiled. What are you suggesting? He asked. I'm suggesting that we ignore her, Sera said. We keep seeing each other, we keep doing what makes us happy, and we don't let her get in our way. Liam hesitated. I don't want to cause you any trouble with your mother, he said. I don't care about the trouble, Sera said. I care about you. I care about us. She leaned in and kissed him, a passionate kiss that conveyed all the feelings they had been suppressing. Liam kissed her back, his heart soaring. From that moment on, they decided to defy Vivian's orders and continue seeing each other secretly. They met in the gardens at night, sharing stolen moments under the moonlight. They went on secret dates, exploring the city and discovering new things together. They talked for hours, sharing their dreams, their fears, and their hopes for the future. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, fueled by their shared defiance and their unwavering commitment to each other. They knew that their relationship was risky, that Vivian could discover their secret at any moment. But they were willing to take the risk, because they knew that what they had was worth fighting for. The secret meetings and stolen moments were exhilarating, but also exhausting. Sera and Liam were constantly looking over their shoulders, afraid of being caught by Vivian or one of her spies. The pressure was starting to take its toll. One evening, after a particularly tense encounter with Vivian, Sera broke down in tears. I can't do this anymore, she sobbed, burying her face in Liam's chest. I can't keep living like this, hiding and sneaking around. It's too much. Liam held her close, stroking her hair. I know, baby, he said softly. I know it's hard. What are we going to do? Sera asked, her voice muffled. Liam thought for a moment. He knew that they couldn't continue living in fear. They needed to find a way to break free from Vivian's control once and for all. I have an idea, he said, his voice filled with determination. Let's get married. Sera looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. Married, she said. Are you serious? Liam nodded. I've never been more serious in my life, he said. I love you, Sera. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I don't want to have to hide our love from anyone. Sera's tears turned to smiles. I love you too, Liam, she said. More than anything in the world. Then let's do it, Liam said. Let's get married and start our own life. Away from all this drama. But they decided to elope to Las Vegas, a place where they could get married quickly and discreetly. They packed their bags, wrote a note to Sera's best friend explaining their plan, and slipped out of the mansion in the dead of night. They drove through the night, their hearts filled with excitement and anticipation. They talked about their future, their dreams, and their hopes for a life together. When they arrived in Las Vegas, they found a small chapel and exchanged vows in front of a handful of strangers. It wasn't a lavish ceremony, but it was perfect. It was a testament to their love, their commitment, and their willingness to defy the expectations of the world. As they exchanged rings, Sera couldn't help but feel a sense of liberation. She was finally free from her mother's control. She was finally living life on her own terms. They sealed their vows with a passionate kiss, a kiss that symbolized their love, their defiance, and their unwavering commitment to each other. They were married, and they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. Returning from their whirlwind wedding in Vegas, Sera and Liam were now husband and wife, but their situation was far from resolved. They were still living under Sera's parents' roof, and Vivian remained completely unaware of their marriage. They agreed to keep their marriage a secret for the time being. They knew that telling Vivian would unleash a storm of fury, and they wanted to be prepared before facing her wrath. They needed to figure out their next steps, to plan their escape from the Sterling mansion and build a life of their own. The secrecy was difficult. They had to be careful not to show any signs of affection in front of Vivian or the staff. They had to pretend that their relationship was still strictly professional. It was a constant balancing act, and the pressure was mounting. Sera found it particularly challenging. She longed to shout their love from the rooftops, to show the world that she was married to the man of her dreams. But she knew that doing so would only make things worse. Liam, ever the pragmatist, focused on the practical aspects of their situation. He started saving every penny he could, knowing that they would need money to start their new life. He also began researching apartments and houses in the city, looking for a place they could afford. One evening, while Sera was out with her mother at a charity gala, Liam received a phone call from Sera's best friend, Chloe. "Liam, you need to get over here," Chloe said, her voice urgent. Vivian found the note Sera left. "She knows everything." Liam's heart sank. He knew that this was the moment they had been dreading. He rushed to the Sterling mansion, his mind racing. He didn't know what to expect, but he knew that he had to protect Sera. When he arrived, he found Vivian pacing back and forth in the living room, her face a mask of fury. Sera was sitting on the couch, her eyes red and swollen. "So, it's true," Vivian said, her voice dripping with venom. "You two got married behind my back." Liam stepped forward, placing himself between Vivian and Sera. "We love each other, Mrs. Sterling," he said. "We wanted to be together." "Love?" Vivian scoffed. "You think you know what love is? You're nothing but a gold digger, trying to take advantage of my daughter's wealth." "That's not true," Sera cried. "Liam doesn't care about my money. He loves me for who I am." "Don't be naive, Sera," Vivian said. "He's using you. He'll take your money and leave you in the dust." "That's enough," Liam said, his voice rising. "I would never do anything to hurt Sera. I love her with all my heart, and I will spend the rest of my life proving that to her." Vivian glared at him. "You're wasting your time," she said. "This marriage is a mistake, and I will do everything in my power to annul it." Vivian's threat hung heavy in the air. Liam knew she wouldn't hesitate to use her wealth and influence to try and tear them apart. He and Sera needed to become independent and fast. While Sera's trust fund was substantial, Liam refused to touch it. He wanted to build a life with her based on his own merits. He decided to focus on his passion, yoga. He had always dreamed of opening his own studio, a space where he could share his love of yoga with a wider audience, a place that was welcoming and inclusive, unlike the sterile environment of the Sterling Mansion's yoga room. He started small, teaching classes in a community center, renting the space in the evenings after his sessions with Sera. He poured his heart and soul into these classes, creating a supportive and encouraging atmosphere. Word of mouth spread quickly, and his classes began to fill up. Sera, despite her mother's disapproval, was his biggest supporter. She attended every class, offering encouragement and helping him with the administrative tasks. She even used her artistic talents to design flyers and posters, promoting his classes around the city. "You're amazing, Liam," she said one evening, after a particularly successful class. "You have a gift for this. You're going to be a huge success." Liam smiled, his heart filled with gratitude. "I couldn't do it without you, Sera," he said. "You're my inspiration." He started looking for a suitable space to rent for his studio. He scoured the city, searching for a location that was affordable, accessible, and had the right vibe. He found a small, rundown building in an up-and-coming neighborhood. It was in rough shape, but it had potential. He used his savings to secure the lease, and began the daunting task of renovating the space. He worked tirelessly, painting walls, installing flooring, and building shelves. He enlisted the help of his friends and students, who volunteered their time and skills to help him bring his dream to life. Sera, despite her privileged background, wasn't afraid to get her hands dirty. She helped him with the painting, the cleaning, and the decorating. She even designed a beautiful mural for the studio's main wall, a vibrant depiction of nature and inner peace. As they worked side by side, their love grew stronger. They were building something together, something that was entirely their own. They were creating a space where they could share their passion with the world, a space where they could be themselves without fear of judgment or disapproval. The grand opening of Liam's yoga studio was fast approaching, but the financial strain was immense. Renovating the rundown building had cost more than anticipated, and Liam's savings were dwindling rapidly. He had taken out a small loan, but it wasn't enough to cover all the expenses. He started working even harder, teaching more classes and taking on extra jobs. He was exhausted, but he refused to give up on his dream. He knew that the studio was his ticket to independence, his chance to prove himself to Vivian and build a life with Sera on his own terms. Sera saw the toll the financial stress was taking on Liam. She knew that he was struggling, but he refused to accept any help from her. He was determined to do it all on his own. One evening, she found him poring over invoices and bills, his face etched with worry. "Liam, you need to take a break," she said, gently rubbing his shoulders. "You're working yourself to death." "I can't, Sera," he said, his voice strained. "I have to make this work. I can't let you down." "You're not letting me down," Sera said. "I'm proud of you. But you need to take care of yourself. You can't do everything on your own." She tried to convince him to accept some money from her trust fund, but he refused. "I appreciate the offer, Sera," he said. "But I can't take your money. This is my dream, and I need to make it happen on my own." Sera respected his decision, but she was worried. She knew that they were on the verge of financial ruin. One day, Liam received a notice from the bank, informing him that his loan was in default. He was devastated. He didn't know what to do. He confided in Sera, his voice filled with despair. "I'm going to lose everything," he said. "The studio, our dream. It's all going to be gone." Sera held him close, her heart breaking for him. She knew that she couldn't stand by and watch him lose everything he had worked so hard for. She made a decision. She knew that Liam wouldn't approve, but she couldn't let him suffer any longer. Without telling him, she secretly sold some of her jewelry, pieces that her mother had given her over the years. She used the money to pay off Liam's loan, saving his studio from foreclosure. She knew that Vivian would be furious when she found out, but she didn't care. She had done what she had to do to protect the man she loved. The grand opening of Liam's yoga studio, Inner Peace Yoga, was a resounding success. Friends, students, and members of the local community flocked to the studio, eager to experience Liam's unique approach to yoga. The studio itself was a testament to Liam and Sera's hard work and dedication. The space was warm and inviting, filled with natural light, soothing colors, and the calming scent of essential oils. Sera's mural adorned the main wall, adding a touch of beauty and inspiration. Word of mouth continued to spread, and soon, Inner Peace Yoga was attracting a diverse clientele, from seasoned yogis to complete beginners. Liam's classes were always packed, and his reputation as a skilled and compassionate instructor grew. Then came the breakthrough. A famous actress, known for her dedication to health and wellness, stumbled upon Inner Peace Yoga while filming a movie in the city. She took one of Liam's classes and was immediately hooked. She raved about Liam's teaching style and the studio's welcoming atmosphere on social media, and suddenly, Inner Peace Yoga was thrust into the spotlight. Paparazzi started camping outside the studio, and celebrities from all walks of life began flocking to Liam's classes. The studio's popularity skyrocketed. Liam was interviewed by magazines and television shows, and his name became synonymous with yoga and wellness. He was no longer just a local yoga instructor, he was a rising star in the world of fitness. The influx of celebrity clients brought a new level of financial stability to the studio. Liam was able to hire more instructors, expand the studio's offerings, and invest in new equipment. He was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that his dream was secure. However, the newfound fame also brought its challenges. Liam was constantly bombarded with requests for interviews and appearances, and he struggled to balance his growing business with his personal life. Sera, as always, was his rock. She helped him manage his schedule, handle the media requests, and stay grounded amidst the whirlwind of attention. She reminded him of why he had started Inner Peace Yoga in the first place, to share his love of yoga with others and help them find inner peace. One evening, after a particularly hectic day, Liam turned to Sera, his eyes filled with gratitude. "I couldn't have done this without you, Sera," he said. "You're my everything." Sera smiled. "I know," she said. "And I'm so proud of you. You've worked so hard. And you deserve all the success you're getting." But their success hadn't gone unnoticed by Vivian. She had seen the articles, the television interviews, and the paparazzi photos. She couldn't deny that Liam had become a force to be reckoned with. She decided it was time to confront them once and for all. Liam's success culminated in an invitation to a prestigious gala honoring leaders in the health and wellness industry. It was a black-tie affair, attended by celebrities, business moguls, and socialites. Liam was hesitant to go, feeling out of place in such a glamorous setting. But Sera convinced him that it was an important opportunity to network and promote inner peace yoga. As they prepared for the gala, Sera knew this was the night she would finally reveal their marriage to her parents. She had waited long enough, and Liam's success had given her the courage to stand up to Vivian. She chose a stunning, avant-garde gown, a bold statement that reflected her rebellious spirit. Liam, looking handsome in a tailored tuxedo, couldn't take his eyes off her. "You look incredible," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "Thank you," Sera said, smiling. "Tonight we're going to show the world that we belong together." As they arrived at the gala, they were immediately surrounded by flashing cameras and curious onlookers. Liam felt overwhelmed, but Sera held his hand tightly, giving him strength. They mingled with the guests, making small talk and promoting inner peace yoga. Liam was surprised to find that many of the attendees were genuinely interested in his work. He even struck up a conversation with a renowned health guru who offered him a potential collaboration. Then, Sera spotted her parents across the room. Vivian, looking elegant and imposing in a designer gown, was deep in conversation with a group of socialites. Sera took a deep breath and Liam towards them. "Mom, Dad," she said, her voice firm, "there's someone I want you to meet." Vivian turned around, her eyes widening in surprise when she saw Liam. "What is he doing here?" she asked, her voice cold. "Mom, Dad, this is my husband, Liam," Sera said, her voice ringing with pride. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Vivian's face turned crimson with fury. "You did what?" she hissed, her voice barely audible. "We got married in Las Vegas," Sera said, her chin held high. "I love each other, and we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together." Vivian's anger reached a boiling point. "This is outrageous," she exclaimed, her voice echoing through the room. "I will not allow this marriage to stand. I will have it annulled immediately." "You can't control me anymore, Mom," Sera said, her voice trembling but firm. "I'm an adult, and I can make my own decisions. I love Liam, and I'm going to stay with him, no matter what you say." The room fell silent, all eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. Vivian's husband, Arthur, a usually quiet and reserved man, stepped forward, placing a hand on her arm. "Vivian, please," he said softly. "Let's not make a scene." Vivian glared at him, but he stood his ground. He had always been a calming influence on her, and tonight was no exception. "Look at them, Vivian," Arthur said, gesturing towards Sera and Liam. "They're happy. Can't you see that?" Vivian hesitated, her anger slowly subsiding. She looked at Sera, her eyes filled with a mixture of love and disappointment. She had always wanted the best for her daughter, but she had been so focused on her own vision of success that she had failed to see what truly made Sera happy. She looked at Liam, seeing not just a yoga instructor, but a successful entrepreneur, a kind and compassionate man, and someone who clearly adored her daughter. She took a deep breath and stepped back, her shoulders slumping slightly. "Fine," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Do what you want. But don't expect me to approve." Sera's heart sank. She had hoped for a more enthusiastic acceptance, but she knew that this was the best she could expect from her mother. She turned to Liam, her eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry," she said. "I wish she could be happy for us." Liam smiled and took her hand. "It's okay," he said. "What matters is that we have each other, Bar." He looked at Vivian, his eyes filled with sincerity. "Mrs. Sterling," he said, "I know you don't approve of our marriage, but I promise you that I will spend the rest of my life making Sera happy. I love her with all my heart, and I will never do anything to hurt her." Vivian looked at him, her expression softening slightly. She saw the genuine love in his eyes, and she knew that he meant what he said. She sighed. "All right, Liam," she said. "I'll give you a chance. But you better not disappoint me." Liam smiled. "I won't," he said. He turned to Sera, his eyes sparkling with love. He pulled her close and kissed her, a passionate kiss that silenced the room and sealed their commitment to each other. The kiss was a symbol of their triumph over adversity, their defiance of social expectations, and their unwavering belief in the power of love. It was a kiss that said, "We are together, and nothing can tear us apart." Vivian watched them kiss, a flicker of a smile playing on her lips. She finally realized that true happiness wasn't about wealth, status, or power. It was about love, connection, and the freedom to be yourself. And that's the story of Sera and Liam. A story of rebellion, passion, and the triumph of love over societal expectations. They faced disapproval, financial struggles, and the wrath of a powerful mother. But their unwavering commitment to each other allowed them to overcome every obstacle. What did you think of Sera and Liam's journey? Did their story inspire you to defy expectations and follow your heart? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this tale of love and defiance, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories just like this one. We're so glad you joined us today, and we'll see you in the next video.